Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we're doing the major predictions. Finally, tournament time. Feels kind of weird, Brock, because it's been so long since the season started and we haven't had a tournament because we started before the holidays and had that break. If you
Mhm.
guys enjoy this one, subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Pretty much going to be all major talk for this episode. We're going to maybe talk about like a couple matches, a couple seedings for some teams um, this coming weekend, but it's going to be pretty much all focused on major talk. Brock, how you doing today?
Oh, we're doing pretty well. Finally get to see some COD land this weekend. So I'm excited for that and excited for the podcast.
Yeah, it doesn't feel kind of weird. Like it feels like it's been too long
Yeah, it
like,
does
leading
feel
up to the
pretty long.
major because like we like started the season like almost earlier than normal, and it was like okay, like we're starting the season where we're getting things rolling, and then like we saw a few matches, and then we had like a very long break. So it's been like like this qualifier stage has been a lot longer than normal because usually it's just like the 3 to 4 weeks straight in a row, and then the tournament.
hmm
um but yeah, the tournament is finally here. uh Different tournament than we're used to also because I mean same format and everything, but it is in Madrid. It's out of North America pretty much.
Yep.
I mean, when was the last time we had a tournament outside of just North America? US and Canada have had every tournament except like the last time was probably like we went to London in MW19.
That was it.
Yeah, they went there was a London event in BO4. Remember that was the crazy event with like the slacked and like phase like when the game glitched and like awarded the wrong team the round
Yeah.
or whatever. Like LG versus phase. And, like, those famous chants of, like, them, like, chanting at LG, like, the whole crowd hated them. That was in BO4, and I believe they went to London right before COVID in
Oh yeah.
MW19, which that's been a topic, the whole time. Do you see, like, the times released? Like, the match start at, like, 7 AM Pacific
Yeah.
time on, like, most days or something, and that's been a topic people are complaining about,
hmm
and I was like, "I don't understand how we're complaining about that."
Yeah. Literally, you had to do that.
Like, EU has to literally do that at all times.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you actually look at it, I'm gonna like look at it here again quick. Um, when you look at it, they like seem like they were almost a little bit generous to us over here in America, right? Like when you look at the start time. So like they're starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but it
hmm
looks like it's 4 p.m. local time on Thursday. That's a very late start.
Yeah.
Because like the projected start time for the last match is 8:30, but you and I we've been to plenty of events with delays and like if there's long matches, we know that it's probably gonna take more than 4.5 hours to complete 4 matches. Like they're probably going till minimum 10 p.m. local time, if not like to midnight
Yeah.
on that
hmm
first day. The second day, same thing. They're starting at 2:30 for 5 matches. They're 8:30. There's no way the last match is started by 8:30. Um,
Yeah. Especially if one of those matches are definitely like hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes long.
So they're already starting like a little later, and then people are like 5:30. It's not the worst for us, like 7:30 a.m. It's early, but I mean it's not crazy because we're in Central Time, so it's not crazy.
Yeah.
In the weekend, like Sunday, like Champ Sunday at 9 a.m. start time, finals projected to be around like 1:30 our time. That's nothing crazy. Like 9 a.m. isn't like crazy early, but like people were complaining that they should have catered the schedule more and moved it back. It's like hello, like the EU people have like had this problem forever. The
Yeah.
schedule is extremely catered in North America, and I know like the league casters, the players are all in North America, so it makes a little sense why it's a little more catered. But like, you know what? When EU finally gets an event as somebody in North America, like they deserve to have the times. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I wouldn't have a problem with them pushing up earlier the times because 4 p.m. local start time is pretty late.
Yeah.
Although nice for people, I guess coming from work, like that it's starting a
hmm
little later
Yeah. Most definitely.
on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I thought that was hilarious. People complaining in North America about the times, and I was like, you have no idea. Like this is what people have in EU have been complaining about since they've been watching COD for years.
Yeah. No complaint over here though.
Yeah, but I'm excited to watch it. We'll get to the bracket here. Of course, CDL didn't upload the bracket, so we couldn't just screen grab that and put our series in. But we'll be photoshopping the teams, and you'll be able to see the bracket here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. We're going to talk about a few of the matches from this past weekend, just maybe some results overall. So, just a couple specific matches I maybe want to talk about. Heretics. Let's talk about LA Thieves. Heretics took them to the distance on Friday
Yep.
to a map 5. They were able to take LA Thieves out in the map 4 hardpoint as well as 6-1 in the search. Um, a little bit of a rough series from Envoy, not really. Ghosty really stepped up for the team. Ghosty and Scrap, the AR duo, looked really good. But a little bit scary, right, for LA Thieves to be able to go to a map 5 with Heretics who have been struggling this year. And LA Thieves is supposed to be one of our top teams. Granted, they did finish 5-2, but this weekend, you know, really since online minor, like they lose to FaZe in round 2, they are taking the distance by Miami here, and then they get beat by Boston. They attempted the reverse sweep,
Yep.
but forced them at 5, and Boston is able to close it out. So, like, granted, Boston has been very good this year, 5-2. They've been playing really well, but like, I don't
Good
know,
search
just
team.
still a team that like we expect LA Thieves to be able to beat. Like, they should be able to beat them. They're supposed to be a much better team.
Yeah. We have LA Thieves, supposed to be beating these Boston Breaches and Heretics 3-0,
Yeah,
but
like
3-2 both times.
I mean, and even when you look at like I saw, oh shoot, who did I see? It might have been Doug Lieb, might have been Brian Stats. I can't remember. I saw one of the stats guys tweeting about how like the accessibility of stats like causes some terrible narratives and in the scene like that like LA Thieves are just like playing for kills, which like sometimes in hardpoint it doesn't seem like they're like hitting the hill. I don't know. It's a little weird, but like they did win the map 4 on protocol and everything looked good, but like he was saying, like this accessibility of stats makes things look so bad sometimes because like it looks like LA Thieves was just kill whoring.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to look at the context of the series. Like the way that Boston won it was through 2 search and destroys and a close hard point, and then they kind of got handled. Like the scoreline looks like a little bit close, 250 to 187 in that map 4 protocol, but like LA Thieves pretty much like that map wasn't really in question. Like they dominated the map.
Yeah.
It was for a little bit in the middle, but LA Thieves really pulled away. And then the Hacienda control, I mean, they just stomped them 3-0. Like it was a really quick map. There wasn't even a lot of kills in the rounds. I
Mhm.
mean, almost everybody on Boston had single digits. Purge was the only one, and he had 10
Yeah.
kills. So,
That's
like,
that's all you need to know for that map.
yeah, when you get outslayed super heavily in a hard point, super heavily in a control, and then like you win. Like they won a tight map 1, and it was because Snoopy dropped 41. Everybody else on the team was like significantly negative.
Yeah.
So like
Snoopy went crazy.
it's like the kill horn thing for LATs. It's like, well, no, they just dominated 2 respawns, so it really inflated their KDs, and they lost 2 search and destroy. So like obviously, like winning a search and destroy isn't gonna like boost your KD anything crazy because there's just not a lot of engagements. Like,
Yeah. Mhm.
but I don't know. It's I want to mention and give props to Boston because I constantly am just like waiting for them to come back down to earth. And they do lose 3-0 to FaZe, but they take out LA Thieves. Like we said, Boston played Optic, LA Thieves, and Atlanta in this split, and they went 5-2, taking down Thieves and Optic. Like,
It's pretty damn good for them.
yeah, like regardless of if they're doing it through like a lot of search and destroy, it doesn't matter. They're winning series, and that's all that matters. And Snoopy is the talent's always been there. And it seems like he's finally developing into a more well-rounded player. Uh,
Mhm.
Purge didn't have as good of a weekend, but he has looked a lot better this year, especially in the slaying department.
Yep.
Cammy had a real rough one against LA Thieves, but they still get the win. And the AR duo, like overall, has been formidable enough to get them wins.
Mhm.
Boston looks really good, man, and their reward for it is they get to play FaZe round 1.
Yep. They win 5 maps, and then, thinking they're gonna get a, not so tough match, and they play phase.
Just brutal for them.
Yep, that's how
Other
it goes
teams,
sometimes.
yeah, other teams we want to mention, Brock. Minnesota lose to Vancouver. The
They should
story
have won
can,
that.
yeah, the story continues to be the same though. It's
Mhm.
Paul X. He is just really, really struggling.
Yeah, he's just like sometimes when I was watching that red card surge, it just seems like he was kind of lost on some of those times, and he wasn't pushing players that were one shot. He doesn't really seem confident in himself.
Yeah, I mean they blew a 5-3 lead in the map 5.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with your take. He's a player that you got to feel like he's been a fringe league player. Like he's been in the league, he's been out of the league. Never really like kind of solidifying his spot. So you almost feel like maybe, and I don't know, but maybe there's something creeping into the back of his head, like he knows, especially because
Hmm.
he's been struggling, and there are some AR players like illey out there that could really probably fill his role. Um, just overall, like, you maybe feel like he's feeling that pressure of, like, he's overthinking situations, where, like, there's, normally, like, obviously, he's gotten to the level. He's won that pro-am before. Like, he's been a good player at the pro level. Like, we know he can be a solid role player, and it's
Yep.
like he got there from making decisive, decisions. He's been confident in himself. He's been good in challengers, and it's like as he started to potentially lose his spot, maybe a little more thinking, a little more second guessing is coming into play. And in the pro league, like that little bit of hesitation where you don't make the right move right away, it's going to cost you.
Yep. It is. And
So
even like even on that 1v1 versus Abuza, it just like he's like kind of like Abuza's on ahead of him and he just chows out right in the open kind of, and trying to like gun him off ahead of him. He probably got to do
yeah,
something else to
he
maybe
like
win the round.
yeah he like and it's a 1v1 round 11. He didn't even like fully like reload his gun. He was like challenging like as the reload was finishing, so like his gun wasn't even like ready to shoot right away. Like
Yeah.
just like there's no reason to do that. I don't know. It's very weird. Um,
Hmm.
and I guess talking about them because we'll kind of loop Cloud9 in with this too because boy, they can't win a series either. Um,
Yeah. They cannot
they
win.
granted they only played phase this weekend, so like we didn't expect them to win, but like the same thing kind of happens in that series. Like they tie up the search 4-4 and then they end up losing it. They win a crazy vault uh hard point, but like they got destroyed. Sib just couldn't shoot back at that red guard hard point. They
Hmm.
win a crazy round 11. Speaking of 5-3 chokes, phase chokes 5-3, map 2, and they take them all the way to a map 5, but just the struggles continue for the AR duo attached with a 0.79, 0.87 from Sib, and that was really inflated because he did end up having a pretty good map 4, and a decent map 5, but overall, like, just a rough series from Sid,
Yeah.
in the respawns, 2 and 3. Um, I saw somebody tweeting about this too, is like, this might be I think it might have been Parasite talking about it, like, this might be the first time where, like, it's the AR players in the league that are on notice after Major 1 for roster changes because, like, I mean, overall, when we look at our teams, like, like FaZe, Optic, LA Thieves, nothing's changing there on that front. Toronto, nothing's changing there. Carolina, probably nothing's changing there, although Vivid has been really struggling. As much as we love Vivid, he's been really struggling.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll talk about that more depending on where they go in the major. But like teams like LAG, like Linz has been pretty good. Kismet's been in. The rest of the team has been kind of like whatever. Priesta, he might be on watch as an AR. On
Hmm.
Minnesota, Paul X, certainly on watch. But the subs on Minnesota have been awesome. Estriel and Nero
Yep. That'd be
been
good.
awesome. Miami is just kind of a weird situation because they only pick up like Spanish speaking players, so it's a little different situation there. But like Boston, everything's fine there; they're winning. Um, Vancouver, who knows? Hixie's kind of struggling. When you look at teams like Cloud9, like the subs, Kremp and Mac's been their best player. Kremp's been pretty solid for the most part. It's been the ARs
Yeah.
that are really, really struggling there. So maybe ARs are going to be the people more on notice because there's a lot of ARs struggling throughout the league.
Hmm. Yeah. I like to see it. After Cloud9, I don't expect them to do really anything in the major and see what kind of change they make.
See, I think that Cloud9, unless he gets an offer that he likes more, I think Kremp is about to get absolutely screwed
Yeah.
in that Cloud9 situation, in my opinion, because I think they're just going to pick up Pred for him. Mac has the chemistry, Sib, Pred, Mac, and then attach to basically just make the old Surge roster and replace accuracy with attach. So it seems like an upgrade. But Kremp
Hmm.
does not deserve to be dropped. Honestly, right now, if there's a player drops, probably attach. He's probably been their worst player, or Sib. Like they've both been just bad.
The
But
airs
like
is nothing. They're giving nothing.
yeah, and we just know based on like probably name brand and just like attach being like accuracy's best friend and like then accuracy really knowing what Sib is capable of and what Mac is capable of. It kind of seems like Kremp is going to end up being the odd man out. I just have a feeling unless maybe another team is making a change and Pred like views them as a better chance to win because like it's not like like New York can't dig out of the points hole that they're in because it is so early. There's so many matches left.
Yeah.
And I just don't know like where else Pred would go. Like if you wanted to like run an AR, I guess you could go to the Rocker or something, and that's not a bad situation. Or maybe like the Surge drop Pixie and he wants to play with like Abuza and 04, but I can't really see that.
Yeah.
It seems like the most likely destination is probably Cloud9, or like if Optic somehow bottoms out and they like want him back for whatever reason. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
But like you said, most likely New York, Cloud9, and for Crimp, probably most likely. Then if I'm Vancouver, I may be looking at picking up Crimp over for Hexy.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know how
yeah.
that would fit.
It just seems doesn't it kind of seem like Kremp is probably on a collision course to just get screwed out of his spot on the roster, even though he has not been their worst player.
Yeah.
But like you can't even blame like Cloud9 for the move either, because it's like, I mean, in any situation, Pred is an upgrade over Kremp. Like regardless of how Kremp is playing, he is an upgrade.
Yeah.
Just unfortunate because like Pred's an upgrade over most subs on any of these non-top three teams. Pred's really just an upgrade.
Yeah. Just kind of how weird how the dominoes fell with Pred.
And nobody was expecting Pred to be available probably for the rest of his career. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It was just expected him and shottzyy were going to be the optic duo until one of them retires or both of them.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I want to talk about, and then we'll just move ourselves on to predictions, is the Vegas Falcons. Uh, this isn't going to be bashing them. They're 0-7, but it's not like a normal team. Like the spotlight on them is different. Like you and I both know, the spotlight on them is different. Like they're not like we don't. They're 0-7. Like if a team like Boston was 0-7 with like players that have been consistent, like Cammy, Awakening, Snoopy, Purge, like players that have been in the pro league for plenty of time, like then we would be like, okay, like change has to be made. But this team came in, we knew they probably weren't going to really win matches right away. Like they're players that have never played on this level, and they're sticking true to their region, which I can respect. In the same way that we can respect like the Miami team doing so with
Mm-hmm.
like Spanish speaking players. Um, I will say though, there is a path for Falcons. I know Kicks. I believe he went home. He had like a family thing going on. I think
Yeah.
some sort of like personal issue. So obviously we don't know what that is. I hope everything's good. But I will say like Kicks was probably like him and X. They were like their best players. To whom honestly, since he's been playing, looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Not
And
too bad.
the King kid that subbed in, he was like pretty like he had a decent shot on him. Like in the hardpoint, he was 30 and 27 on Skyline. In the search, he had 11, and then he struggled in the control. Which, by the way, in that search, Roxas was 0-9. That's one of the most
Yeah.
extreme we've seen. 0-9 is crazy. He died every round
200,
to get a kill.
270 damage.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
But Falcons, they look decent in search. Like they are able to win some searches. They seem to get they get like 180 in like hardpoint, like 180 to 200, and they hit a wall.
Yeah.
And they're pretty brutal at control too, but they haven't won a hard point. But I will say, in terms of like just raw skill, if they can get Dahum, Exonid, King, and if they can get Kicks back, like that four, Exonid and King kind of running subs, Dahum and Kicks kind of on ARs or whatever they decide to do for roles, like that four right there is probably the most talented four players we've seen play on the
Mm-hmm.
team, like in terms of just like pure mechanical skill. And then like I feel like they need to just like set a roster. If Kicks can come back, put him in for Roxas, and then you have your solid four with Dahum, Exited, King, um, and Kicks, and just roll with it. Like obviously, I don't expect them to win a bunch of matches, but those four seem to have the most raw talent. And it's like
Yeah.
maybe if the four of them play together a while, they can start to teach it. And like I will say, like the way that they shoot, I feel like they can become like over the course of like a year or two, they could become like a team that will steal some matches and like can like be a decent threat to like upset some teams if they're really able to like pick up like the more mental aspect and like the strategy part of the game. And I just
Yeah.
feel like they have to go with those four because like they're
Mm,
definitely are the ones with the most talent. Like Roxas is it's rough.
mhm, it is. But like you say, yeah, they struggle, but it's different, and they're definitely learning and getting better every day.
It's completely different than a situation like a full any team that's been pro street. It's completely different. If you can't understand that, like you're just not trying to understand.
Yeah,
But
I,
once again,
I'm
what are you gonna say?
I'm sure by the end of the year that they'll be taking some maps off teams.
Oh yeah, uh, and we got to respect the passion. Like we said it in the last podcast too, but like they show so much passion. You can tell they want to get better and they want to win. And I'll always respect a team like that, whether it's NA, EU, like whatever region they're from. I'll always respect a team like that that you can clearly see wants it and wants to improve and wants to play better and is like really giving it their all because like at the very least they're trying. There are some pros out there that like seem like they're just collecting a paycheck
Hmm.
and they're just signing on for scrims, doing the bare minimum, and they're just trying to get by until like eventually their spot's gone. And it's like these guys are at least like putting their all into it.
Yeah. Definitely want it.
Yeah. All right, Brock, let's do our bracket.
Do
Got
it.
it on the screen. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I can go first.
All right. We obviously, as I said before, we don't have the official CDL bracket because at the time of us starting to record, they of course haven't uploaded it to the website where we like to just kind of like screen grab and put in our numbers there. So I'll just be photoshopping them in and doing it from here. But you can still give like the map counts if you want. But we'll start at the top, Rock. We'll just roll down, starting with Optic versus Miami, 1 versus 8.
Ooh, my Optic versus Miami. It seems like every major is always happens. They line up to play each other.
Yeah, since the Mutineers days.
Yep. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely picking Optic though. I go three. I think 3-0. Optic come out hot, 3-0 them.
I think Optic makes quick work of them. Get it in place there. Yeah, I saw a funny Jacob Hale tweet saying like they need to sub in Vickle
Facts.
for this series because like he seemed to play pretty well against Optic overall. They just need to like once again like everybody said last year whenever they play just like come out in Mutineers jerseys because I don't know what the exact record is, but like Mutineers was like always the underdog, except maybe like a little bit in MW19 against Huntsmen. But like for the most part against Optic, Mutineers was always underdogs, and they always found a way. Not always, but most times it seemed like they would just like upset Optic when you just didn't expect it. Like they
Yeah.
for some reason they had their number.
Yeah, it's like Mutineers could be like terrible for, up until they play Optic and then they figure it out.
Yeah, and like obviously there's like the famous match from last year when Vickle held up like the 3-0 to the
Yep.
camera, and that got used as like a meme all year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll send Miami down. Next match, Brock, banger of a match here. 4 versus 5 seed, I
Ooh.
believe here. Carolina Royal Ravens versus Los Angeles Thieves, which man, I feel sorry for Boston and Carolina. They're able to get top 4 seeds.
And
Or like
jeez.
able to get like top seeds, and their draw is Thieves and Phase. Like we expect those to be the top 3 if like you can sneak out. Five, like they both went 5-2, and they had to draw 2 of the top 3 teams. Just unfortunate for my boys on Carolina.
Yeah. Man, this is kind of tough. I think I'm gonna. I don't know. Actually, I'm taking them. I'm gonna take the Royal Ravens in a 3-2 victory.
I like it. I feel like if you like if we can get like the stats on like the CDL pickums, like from the site, I feel like it's probably gonna still be a majority LA Thieves, don't you think?
Oh yeah, probably like I even say like 70%, 75.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still gonna be picking LA Thieves. Um, our boy Jake Maverick, he is not gonna be happy about your pick.
Even
His
been
boys
struggling,
LAT, but
but
yeah, I
it
feel
is
like
land.
it's probably the matchup I'm looking forward to the most on day one. Would you agree?
Yeah,
The Toronto Surge one kind of it doesn't move me. It probably should be a good Toronto win, and the Optic Miami one it doesn't really move me. But Carolina Thieves, I'm looking forward to, and I am actually really looking forward to Boston versus Phase to see if Boston can continue this on land and like hold their own. But this match is definitely the match of the first day that I'm really looking forward to seeing.
hmm yep.
All right, Brock. Then Toronto versus the Vancouver Surge. Toronto somehow came out of this with a good matchup. Probably the most ideal matchup of the first round.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm picking Ultra in a 3-1.
Yeah.
I think Sergio, think they go 2-0 down and then win the control and then lose the hard point.
All right. They got Surge dropping on down to losers bracket. Put them down there. Surge Rocker. Oof. All right, then Breach Phase. You think we were just talking about? You think Breach can get it done, or you think Phase make quick work of them like they did on Friday?
Uh, I think Phase make quick work again, but I do think Breach will take a search. 3-1.
Okay. Breach, take a search.
Tough draw.
Um,
Just unlucky.
yeah, just unlucky for them, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I know they've been struggling. We just talked about, like, how they're probably gonna make a change, and, like, Attach and Sib have been brutal, but not, like, the best draw for them in losers either, in my opinion, for Boston, like, unlucky for them because, like, Cloud9, they still do have, like, Attach, Sib, players that have made deep runs on land, Mac, like, a player that's won before, Kremp, who's made, like, like, a deep run last year at EWC and stuff, like, they have players that are, like, experienced for the
Hmm.
most part, especially like attach on land that like Boston's an inexperienced team. This feels like kind of a terrible draw for them considering like they could have drawn like Falcons or LAG. Kind of a terrible draw for Boston because like New York, regardless of how bad they've been playing, like the upset potential is still there with like the ceiling the players have. Like it could click at any moment and they could make like a little run.
Yeah.
Um,
All it takes, that one match, they start flowing with each other.
yeah, absolutely. Uh, then we have got let's go losers bracket. So we go down to losers bracket. We got Miami versus LAG.
And
Your boys, Brock.
boys, game five. I'm gonna go game five. I think Heretic squeaks it out.
You think Heretics? Wow, I was not expecting you to say that. I guess
There's- I-
kind of like it's not their event technically. It's hosted by Ultra, but I kind of forget it's home crowd cheese for them.
yeah. I just
Uh,
know. I don't know. I just feel like it just seems like a game five, and then LAG just not gonna win it, lose, go back to the drawing board.
uh, I kind of forget I home crowd buff for them because they are in Spain. I kind of forget that for a second. I just I'm so used to being in NA that I kind of forget. And also on the tournament thing we're editing, it says Toronto Ultra major
Hmm.
tournament because I'm just like so in my head I'm just kind of like thinking like oh yeah it's in Toronto even though I know
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
in Madrid so it's in Spain. Miami definitely will have the home crowd probably Optic number 2 just because it's Optic but like Miami probably will be the crowd favorite there in Spain at least I hope they are. Like
Yeah.
we always talk about like that Vanguard Minnesota event we went to and the Minnesota fans were louder for them when then like the Optic fans when they played. That's what I hope for
Yeah.
Miami because I'm sure it's like a really cool experience for those players to experience that also. Just like not having Optic be the favorite is probably awesome.
Yeah. People are cheering for you and not, exactly booing you and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Um so yeah, you got Miami. I'm surprised to not everybody else is surprised also to not have you pick an LAG. Um
Yeah. It's okay.
Brock, should
One
I just
day.
paste in I'm basing it before you even say it. I'm pasting in LA Thieves over Falcons.
I pick Falcons. I'm just kidding.
If you did, that would be the craziest. That would be like if Thieves get knocked out top 12 because they lose to Falcons, that would probably would almost be the biggest upset in like COD history.
Imagine this though. If the Thieves, they lose to the Falcons, they get rid of Envoy and pick up Pred.
Yeah, that would that would be hilarious. Envoy's actually been pretty good this year though.
Yeah.
Funny enough, obviously there. I
But
don't think I was about to say I don't think anything could possibly make LA Thieves make a roster change at this event. But actually, now that like we do talk about it, if they actually did somehow lose to Falcons,
yeah.
like they could, like, realistically make, like, a pred change or something since he is out there and, like, a change could happen, but that would that not be the most shocking, like, roster move of all time? Like, they were talking about as, like, a potential dynasty and they make a change after one tournament, that would be insane.
That'd be just hilarious. I'm assuming Envoy would be the odd man out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're definitely not getting rid of Hydra or Scrap for sure, and then Ghostie's kind of their guy.
Yeah. So yeah, LAT 3-0, I would hope.
Yeah, I would hope so too. A little tougher one the next one, though, Surge versus Rocker.
Yeah. They just played in a game five earlier.
Yeah, and Surge took the win.
I think Rocker takes it this time in a 3-2 game five to kind of get their so-called revenge.
Think Paul X steps up a little bit, or is it the other boys in the squad?
I think the other boys in the squad, and I think Pollux won't have as bad of a series.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. And then Breach versus Cloud9, Brock.
It's kind of tough because probably gonna get the same old Clan 9. Not doing much, but there's a chance they could pick it up.
Dude, these players on lane, you never know.
It is land, man. I think I'm gonna have to go Cloud 9 game five.
Think so? Wow, you think all the Boston all the Boston hype
Mm,
for not?
actually, no. I'm gonna go 3-2. I'm going 3-2 Boston.
Okay.
Cloud, but Cloud9 is gonna show us, some promise there for a little bit, but then Boston is gonna run away with the search.
Okay. Okay. I was like, whoa, you think all the Boston hypes are not? Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I was just surprised that you went with them because I thought you were gonna pretty easily take Boston. Um, but yeah, I don't hate it at all. Let's go ahead and just like keep going with the losers bracket, and then we'll move the winners bracket next. So you got Miami versus LAT.
Mm, LAT probably 3-1. Miami will probably win like a search.
All right, we will move LAT on. And then Boston versus Minnesota. Interesting matchup. Boston obviously played a lot better in the online split, but Minnesota, the talent is there. If Paul picks it up, the rest of the team has been. Gio's had his struggles, but like the sub duo has been so good on this team.
Sub's been really good, man. I think I want to pick Rocker in another game 5. I think just the sub duo is just gonna go crazy.
I like it. Move a rocker on. Eliminated Boston and Miami top 8. Kind of a disappointing event, if we're honest, from Boston. If like just with the way they looked online, you'd be hoping probably for at least a top 6.
Hmm.
If this is the case and they do bow a top 8, though, kind of disappointing for them. But also, once again, like they're probably just gonna be bounced to losers right away because they play phase. But maybe they pull off the upset on phase. You never know. You can't write them off. But
Yeah,
um,
you never
okay,
really know.
God, I always forget how this works. So the winner or the loser of Optic Carolina drops down to that bottom part with Minnesota and Boston because they flip. They won't play the same team right away again. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how it works. So you got Optic versus Carolina, Brock. You think Carolina continues the run, or does our one seed Optic move on to the winners final?
I think Optic edges out in the game 5.
Yeah. Uh, Probably. I mean, it would not probably. It's going to be the most common pick here. It's probably going to be most commonly an Optic LA Thieves matchup, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Um, then you got Toronto and FaZe. Probably the matchup of the second round. I don't know. Optic Carolina's a really good matchup too, though.
Yeah, man.
Funny enough, we're really set up like it didn't work out exactly like seeding wise how you'd expect. Because it wasn't like the top 4 seeds with Ultra, but like the way it worked out, they still like spread out enough that there's a decent chance we get the top 4 teams, uh LA Thieves Optic to play in round 2, and then Ultra Phase. There's still like a decent chance we get that, even though it's not the exact way we expected.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh man. I think I want to go phase here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna trust phase more at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to, like when you see Phase Optic, even LA Thieves at times, even like with Phase struggling early in the year and starting to pick it up, and even with like Thieves, like maybe looking a little shaky lately, still when you just like see the names and see the team, it's kind of hard not to just
Yeah.
like default to picking them, especially
Yeah.
as we go to our first land. Like we don't have any experience so far to like tell us, oh, this team hasn't been good on land. Like in years past, after you see a few events, you kind of can tell.
Hmm.
Um, who's going to struggle on land or who continues to struggle on land.
Yeah.
All right, so that puts us losers bracket. Ultra Thieves, one of those 2 teams, gonna bow out top 6. Who you got?
Oh man. Like these been like so like not that impressive, not that good. At least Ultra's like you know pretty good.
Yeah,
Been doing
Ultra has
it.
looked really good.
I think I'm gonna pick. I think Thieves start to actually heat up and not play how they were playing against
Mm.
Austin and stuff. And I think they won a close game 5 though against Ultra.
Yeah, it should be a good series again.
Yeah.
Um, then you got Carolina versus Rocker on the other part of the losers bracket.
Ooh, that'd be a pretty good match too.
Yeah, it's like it's likely going to be like, yeah, whoever Carolina Optic, whoever you drop down, LA Thieves in this spot, and they're going to play like a young shooting team like Rocker or Boston, like a young team that can really shoot, but kind of trying to find their way in terms of winning.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna pick Carolina there in I think 3-1. No game 5 this time for Rocker.
All right. So that leaves us with Carolina, LA Thieves, playing for top 3.
Yep. Man.
What you thinking?
Oh, this is tough. This is tough. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to Carolina. Beats them again. Knocks out Thieves. Not sure exactly the map count, but I just think they're gonna come out and win.
Wow, you think they beat them twice on the weekend?
Yeah, and then that makes these go back to the drawing board, reevaluate, and get way better from there.
That's wild. All right, who you have playing Carolina in losers final? You think Optic or FaZe make it through winners?
That's another tough match.
Yeah.
Give me FaZe.
Yeah, they do look really good right now. Ever since they looked awful to start, and really since like the break, coming back into the like minor one, like they looked really good. They won that, and they've just been kind of rolling ever since.
Mm-hmm.
And then that puts, hang on, I gotta put Optic down there. That moves Optic down into losers final against Carolina, and then we have Optic versus Carolina. Either we can set up FaZe Optic, or you're having Slasher trying to get revenge on his old teammates, or Tej versus Tiny Tears. Maybe he can finally get his like second win.
Feel like tease. Nah, I'm gonna pick Optic here.
Damn, the Carolina run ends. I would love to see Carolina win this event. That's probably, honestly, if I had to pick a team to win, that's probably who I want to win the event.
Yeah, Carolina. Always rooting for them.
All right, then you get Optic and FaZe rematch from winners final, where you had FaZe winning. Who you got coming out on top?
The classic
Yeah,
best of 7. I
best
think
of 7 or best
FaZe
of 9? Yeah, best of 7.
best 7. I think. I think FaZe wins. They win the minor, and then they win the major. In a 4,
Yeah.
4-2. I'm gonna go 4-2.
Okay, I'm just gonna put FaZe up here. You got FaZe. Just blow it up a little bit here. You got FaZe as the champion. 4-2. You said
Yep,
ended on
4-2.
a whatever, that'll be a control map or something. It'll end on. Uh, yeah, that's maybe, I was kind of maybe leaning in the same spot. I'll do my bracket. I think I am gonna at least have one pick different than you, which I remember when we did like our power rankings to start the year, we had like the exact same power rankings somehow, and you just like switch something up for fun.
Yeah.
But I think overall I was probably leaning towards FaZe. I might switch it up here, but take your screenshots, grab your screenshots here. This is Brock's bracket. I'm gonna reset the bracket quick and then I'll do mine, but we'll see who overall, once the actual website updates with the bracket, Brock and I will fill it out. We'll see who ends up getting more points on the major. It was last year, like overall, I ended up winning like a lot of the regular season matches, but Brock overall seemed to win the tournaments and get more points than me on the tournaments.
Mhm.
It was weird. I was like the regular season match predictor, and Brock was better in tournaments. Because I think you had all the winners right until the last major, didn't you?
I think was it 4?
I think you had like every winner except I think maybe you got the last one. Like you were going for the perfect year of major winners, and I don't think you picked NYSL in the last major.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think I got the
they were
last 2
kind of a
wrong.
surprise win. Like they definitely weren't one of the favorites to win that.
Yeah. I think I got the first few majors right, and then the major 4 wrong and champs wrong.
Yeah, that that sounds right. Because yeah, I don't think either of us really picked Optic. Optic wasn't like completely shocking because they are a good team, but like they definitely weren't
Yeah.
one of the favorites. They were really struggling going into that.
But
All right,
they
we got the
did it.
bracket. Yeah, got the bracket all cleared out. I starting off picking Miami. I'm kidding. They do have the home crowd buff, which I hope. I like that they're playing Optic because it should be an electric match.
Yep.
Like
Should be.
that match should be awesome. Like obviously, there's still going to be a good amount of Optic fans because that's just how it works. Regardless of where they are, Optic's pretty worldwide fan base, so it's going to be loud for Optic, regardless.
Mhm.
But I hope the Miami or the Heretics fans, the Spanish fans, show out. for their team, and I hope it's really loud. I think this Miami at least takes a map because the home crowd buff is going to be crazy. I could actually see this going game 5 and getting a little scary for Optic because like this Miami team does have talent like Rencor and Real. Those two are shooters as a sub duo. It's just a matter of can Metals and Lucky. They have had a
Yeah.
lot of struggles this year. Can those two pick up the slack and kind of like keep pace? It could get a little scary. Like if this goes game 5 with the crowd, it maybe gets a little scary, but I think it probably ends up like a 3-1 Optic.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then LA Thieves, Carolina. I love that you picked Carolina. I want to pick Carolina. That's who I want to win this matchup. I just think LA Thieves are going to come out and on land, it's going to look a little different for them. I think they're going to just improve a lot on land. Like we're talking like the sky is falling for them and like they need to make all these improvements, but they are still 5-2 at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like they did get eliminated early, so it looks a little worse because they got eliminated early in the minor by phase, and then like they come out and they lose to Boston, who by the way, Boston's been pretty good this year. And they lost 2 searches to Boston. I expect them to be able to pick up their searches and like I don't know. Their struggles like I would be a little more concerned if they were losing like a lot to really bad teams, but Boston has overall looked pretty good. They lost a phase in the minor, like they lost to Optic and they blew a 5-2 lead in search. Like that's their losses this year. They blew a 5-2 game 5 lead to Optic. They lost a couple searches to Boston and lost that series. And then they lost to phase. So like they lost to phase and Optic, probably should have beat Optic, and then they lost to a Boston team who's really hot right now. Like
Hmm.
it yes, they're struggling, but I think the struggles are a little overblown for them because they've lost, yeah, like I said, some tough matches, and they're still thieves. Like we look at these 4 players, and you're telling me they're going to go to land and really like struggle a lot. They could, but it'd be pretty unbelievable for me.
Yeah.
Um, then I'm taking Toronto over the Surge. Toronto have looked really good. They finally lost their first like they lost in the minor tournament, obviously, but they got their first loss in regular season matches against Optic, where Optic handled them pretty well. But I still think Toronto looks pretty good, and they probably got them or Optic got the easiest draw in the first round for sure. Surge don't
Hmm.
look all that great right now.
Yeah.
So I think Toronto will be able to handle them pretty easily. And then in the same mark, I think FaZe is going to 3-0 Boston. They just 3-0'd them. Boston has looked really good, but Boston always, since the franchise's inception, has just not matched up well with FaZe. And to be fair to them, nobody has really matched up that well with FaZe.
Yeah.
FaZe win a lot of matches, especially in online. Uh, I do think Boston is a formidable opponent. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they take some maps off phase. It's been a lot of 3-0s in that matchup since the Tiny Terrors have been there and really the trio.
Yeah.
The
It
whole
has.
CDL. It's been a lot of 3-0s.
Yeah. I remember that one that vivid Vanguard one where the Boston was in winners match, and we
Yeah.
we thought Boston like had a chance, and then it got 3-0'd like in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was
It
really like
was-
Zinni at the time. It was like winners final and Zinni was leading the tournament in like KD in like every mode.
Yeah.
And he was frying, and we were like, okay, like they're playing really well. This is the best we've seen them. This is probably the best we've seen Zinni play since World War II. They look so good, and then all of a sudden they just got like 3-0 to 30 minutes, quick series, and um, really since that moment, FaZe has pretty much dominated them
Yeah.
the entire series.
Hmm.
So that sends Breach down to losers bracket, but I do think like I said, I said 3-0, but Breach is a team that I could see making a run. They just have kind of a tough draw there.
Yep. Yep. I sure do.
Then we go down to the losers bracket. I'm taking Miami just like you did over LAG. I was actually kind of thinking, with the vets, this LAG team could get better on land. I kind of want to pick them, and then I remembered the events in Spain. I think the home crowd cheese is going to help Heretics a lot. I think they're going to win this one.
Yep. Like it.
Not much to say for the next matchup, Brock. If Ravens lose to Falcons, if Ravens or Thieves, whoever's here, lose to Falcons, I don't know what I'd do.
If any team really loses to Falcons,
Yeah, it would be insane. So I'm picking Carolina in that one. I'm picking Rocker like you in the next one. Um, I expect Paul X to maybe just like pick it up a little bit, and that's really all he has to do because Nero and Estriel have been really good, and Geo overall is a good player in my opinion. Like Vancouver have a lot more questions for me. Like 04 has been pretty good. Abuza hasn't been frying as much as I expected him to this year, but I still have a lot of faith in him. And Nasty is an overall solid player. Hixie, he does his role, but I just feel like the ceiling for the Rocker team, like Nero and Estriel can take over a series. I feel like O4 can and Abuza can. I just think like overall they have a lot more takeover. And if Paul can even get to playing like slightly below average, this team should be able to take out Surge.
Yeah. All I gotta say, imagine if this team had Huke on their roster
Yeah,
still.
they would have kept Hook instead of Hixie. Yeah, that we said it right when they dropped him. It made no sense going into a game that was omni movement, super fast pace. It never made any sense to drop Hook.
Yep.
Um, that puts us with Boston and Cloud9. I just moved them forward. I'm taking Boston. I do think this one gets scary though. I think Boston is going to Neslo them.
Okay.
I think Boston's gonna win their searches, win tight control. I think the hard points will be close. I think this is a series where it's gonna be 5 really close maps. Like we're talking 6-4s in the search, 6-5. We're talking like both teams over 200 in the hard point and a 3-2 in control. I think it's gonna be a really close series, but Boston takes it.
I could definitely see it.
Yeah. I yeah, I like it. I think that's what's gonna happen. Then top half of the bracket. I know they haven't looked as good. We were complaining about them, Brock, but I'm taking LA Thieves
All right.
to take out Optic. Um, I just I don't know. There's something about Thieves. I just think we're kind of maybe overblowing that the online for them. Like I know it hasn't looked as good. Optic has looked better than Thieves lately, but once again, it was 5-2 in the search and a 2v1. They had numbers and like Envoy just like for whatever reason, like Slide Child jumped at Kenny when he was one shot and like he lost the fight, didn't hit a bullet. Like I don't know. It was 5-2 in Surge is still what I say at the end of the day. Like 9 times out of 10, they're gonna close that out. This happened to be the one time they don't close it out. And I think they're gonna come out in like 3-1 Optic. Like a lot of people expect Optic to win this because of the way the LA Thieves looks. I don't think so.
I could definitely see that.
Although I can definitely see Optic winning this tournament. I think LA Thieves uh takes them out and I move Optic down. And I think FaZe is gonna handle Ultra 3-0 or 3-1 to move on to winners bracket. I really like FaZe. They're like I said, they're probably my favorite to win the tournament.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm gonna move them on to winners. Drop Toronto down to losers, which leaves us with. Well, I'll do the losers matches next before I do winners. Miami, Carolina. I think their little home series, home tournament magic ends here because I just really want it to. Honestly, there's probably some bias here, but I like Carolina. Um, although once again I think close series. I think Miami's going to keep pretty much every series they play close. Home crowd buff, and they are a team that can play people close.
Yep.
Boston Rocker matchup, Brock. I think I'm going to go with you. I think I'm going to take the Rocker. It's an upset for sure. Rocker are obviously 2-5 online. They started 2-0. Haven't won in a while. I do think Paul is going to on land step it up just enough, and the subs are going to carry that matchup, and they are going to upset Boston. I think this is my prediction. I think of all the ones that I'm predicting could probably age the most poor because Boston. I just have continued to doubt them all year because I didn't like the roster coming into the year, and I just continue to doubt them in the same way that you did. You also picked them to lose this, and I just feel like it's going to come back to bite me, and they're going to like make a top 4 run or something because I just keep picking against them, and obviously it's not successful. They're 5-2 this year. I should probably stop picking against
And Boston, man.
them. Then we got Carolina, Toronto. I'm gonna stick with my boys. Carolina making it to the top 4. This should be a banger, and honestly, I kind of think I should probably take Ultra, but I don't know. I just want to put my faith. Tej has looked really good this year. Gwyn has looked really good. Slasher, apart from like a series or two, has looked really good. Vivid's been struggling. If Vivid picks it up, I think this team could make a run to like the top 3.
Yeah.
But I think they take out Ultra, but I would not be shocked at all if Ultra win this. Then I'm taking Optic over Rocker. I think this is where the Rocker magic for the weekend ends. I
Yeah.
think Optic handle them pretty quickly, 3-0. So we get the Optic versus Ravens matchup. I would absolutely love if the Ravens won this. I don't think they're going to, though. I do think it probably is a close matchup, but in the end, I think Optic takes them out maybe 3-1.
Hmm.
Maybe a 3-2. I don't know. Oh, then Thieves phase. So I was kind of leaning towards potentially picking phase for
Yeah.
the whole weekend, but you picked them and it makes me kind of want to switch and I don't know, go bold. I I'm gonna take LA Thieves.
Ooh,
Pull off the upset. They of our top 3 teams, I like, going into this, feels like Optic and FaZe are the 2 favorites. Thieves not on that same level. I don't know why. I just think something is gonna click for them on LAN, and they're gonna play really, really well.
definitely could
Find a
see that
way.
happen.
Find a way to get into the grand final from winners, which leaves us with FaZe Optic. I think FaZe Sunday Scaries continue. They usually make it to the final and then lose. I think the Sunday Scaries continue for them. I think Optic takes them out.
Okay,
Uh,
like that. Nothing new
finds
for
a way.
Fade.
Yeah, finds a way into the final. I really want to pick LA Thieves to win this, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. I came into this thinking I'm probably gonna pick FaZe, but I was deciding. And then you took them, and I'm like, that motivates me to pick somebody else.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it. I think LA Thieves. I'm gonna take them. Pull off the upset. Is it really an upset? They're coming from winners. I'm gonna take them to win.
I like it.
I
After all the people chirping in their ears, telling how bad they are and stuff like that.
I know it's bold, and I really think it could backfire because they legitimately could get upset by Carolina round one.
Yeah,
But from there, I feel like their road is like they're gonna play the winner of like Miami versus LAG. So they would get Falcons and then Miami or LAG and then probably Ultra, and then that's where they would hit like Optic or something. Like that's where they would hit their, but like their losers bracket run is relatively easy too for the most part.
yeah,
Like because they drop to like that Falcons and then Falcons LAG Heretics
yeah,
is who they drop to. So like unless for some reason Optic loses to Heretics, like that's probably the easiest part. Like the top of the losers bracket is definitely where you want to be with LAG and Falcons rather than Rocker and Cloud9. Top of the losers bracket is definitely where you want to be.
yep,
So I like where they fall to. I still think, like I said, they're 3 losses. They lose to FaZe, which is like, whatever. They lose a 5-2 lead to Optic, and they lost like a couple searches to Boston. If they get their search figured out, I think they can win this tournament. The thing that's scary for me for Thieves is if they don't get the search figured out, could get really scary because I think like teams like FaZe and Optic will dismantle them. So I kind of picked
hmm
them just because you picked FaZe, so I wanted to go different. I really thought Optic. I do think it's an Optic FaZe or Thieves event. I do think the top 3 is, we've seen Ultra look really good. We've seen Carolina. We've seen Boston look really good. I don't think any of those teams win. I think this weekend it belongs to FaZe, Optic, or Thieves.
definitely could see that happen. I like it.
Yeah. All right. So we're both through predictions. You got FaZe, I got LAT. Funny enough, neither of us had Optic, and they're the 1 seed. Definitely could see them winning though. I would you say the same? Top
Yeah,
3, Thieves, FaZe, Optic. You are probably thinking one of them wins, if nothing else. Pretty shocked. Like if something
yeah,
else happens, pretty shocked.
yeah. To be honest, yeah,
I'd say like the levels of shock. Like if Ultra or Carolina win, I'm like very surprised, pretty shocked. If Breach wins, I'm even a little more shocked than those 2. If anybody besides those 6 teams win, like if Miami, Surge, or any of the losers bracket teams win, I'm completely and like utterly shocked. Like can't even see it happening at all.
yeah. And now Cloud9 makes the loser bracket run to the
Yeah,
top and wins it up.
that would be stupid.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think see outside top 3 winning.
yeah. Yeah, I don't see anybody outside the top 3. If I do, it's Toronto or Carolina, and I see those 2 as pretty big long shots.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of them, somebody will be there on a Sunday with a chance to make the run. Like obviously, there's only 3 teams that we're talking about. So like between Carolina and Ultra, I'm thinking it's one of those 2, but maybe like a Rocker or a Boston or somebody
hmm
else makes a run. But Surge, somebody like that. But I mean, one of the teams. That's the nice part about it not being like the top 4 this year. Is like last year it was the top 4 with um, NYSL, Optic, FaZe, and Toronto. It was like those top 4 is like every Sunday besides like, like major one or whatever when NYSL got knocked out, Optic got knocked out later. But for the most part, it was like, one of those 4 teams is going to win, and those are the 4 teams on Sunday. But, you know, this year it's guaranteed going to have one other team in there because there's only 3 that we consider like the big 3 at the top.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, excited, to get to watch these early morning matches,
Yeah.
see who comes out on top.
It's gonna be kind of fun. We're gonna be done by like mid afternoon, maybe like evening. It's gonna be kind of fun. Like it's not gonna go like so late. It's like in a way, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, usually goes
Um,
to like 8 or 9 our time.
yeah, and then this time it's gonna be done maybe at like 2 or 3
Yeah,
some days. All right, that's gonna do it for this one. If you guys enjoy, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We appreciate you guys watching as always, and we will see you after the tournament. Have fun watching wherever you are. If you guys are attending the event over in Madrid, have a lot of fun. I'm sure the atmosphere there is going to be probably one of the best atmospheres we've seen in a long time. The EU events always seem to show out. So I'm excited to see because usually we see it as a UK event. So I'm really excited to see an event in Spain and see how the crowd is for that. So that's going to do it for this one, and we will see you after the major.